name is Kevin Woo. I was born in 1991 in Seoul, South Korea. I grew up in a very musical family. My dad is a pianist, and he also just loves to sing as a hobby. My uncle's an opera singer, and my aunts are artists. And also growing up in a Korean church, I was a part of the praise team for the youth group. For Korean holidays like Chuseok and Seollal, I remember my grandparents and my relatives, they would always make the kids like perform in the middle of the living room, make us sing in front of all of our, parents and relatives. I didn't really hold back. And also my sister loved singing as well. So we were a great duo. If you see our home videos, we're always dancing and we have like a karaoke machine in our living room. She's 3 years older than me. And when she's sang to like Spice Girls or Shania Twain or Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, I would be like her backup dancer and singer. So I think I got a lot of influence from my family. My trajectory of performing from my living room to the big K-pop stage is quite a long journey. So I was born in Seoul, South Korea, but my parents were both US citizens. I was physically born in Korea because they were on vacation visiting their relatives. I came back to the US in the Bay Area, Northern California, even before I turned 1. So I was generally raised in a Korean American household, going to an all-American school, dominantly white neighborhood. Only a few other Koreans, let alone Asians in my community. My traditions and my core values stemmed from my family. My parents are the first generation immigrants, along with my grandparents. They all moved to the States in the late 70s. They wanted to provide a better life for us. But at that time, it was definitely hard and I guess confusing at times because we spoke Korean at home and we had all these Korean traditions that we followed. But at school and outside of the household, we were taught to be very American. So I led like this double identity life as a Korean American. And I'm sure many Korean Americans can relate to my story. Yeah, I grew up watching a lot of American pop singers, but I also found like a really warm and secure space when I listened to Korean music because my parents watched a lot of K-dramas. And at that time, it was the VHS tapes that we rented at the Video Mart. I remember watching all those dramas and variety shows and also music shows. That's what really stood out to me the most. It was the glamorous, appealing performances of the K-pop like idols back then. And at that time, it wasn't K-pop. It was just Kayo. It was Korean music. I found myself really like getting into this pigeonhole of Korean music. And I really got obsessed with the culture and the language, because I only knew how to speak the language in the household, so I didn't know how to read or write. But listening to Korean lyrics really helped me want to learn how to read it so I could, sing the lyrics. Yeah, that's why I asked my parents to go to Korea, because we would visit periodically to visit our relatives on my mom's side. But we would make our like summer vacation trips out to Korea. There was this one summer that I like vividly remember. It was in 2004. I remember begging my mom to go to Korea to audition to become a K-pop star. At the age of 13, I had a wild dream of going to Korea. Now that I think of it, I think the reason why I wanted to pursue my career and passion for music in Korea first was because I didn't see anyone like me in the media in America. There would be no way, no door for me to even step foot into Hollywood. I just gradually and naturally diverted to Korea. That's when I made my trip out to Korea with my mom, and I auditioned for various K-pop agencies and labels. That was a time when there weren't many foreign artists in Korea. Like, they didn't have a lot of Korean American or foreign K-pop idols back then. So it was a pretty refreshing idea for them to have English speakers in their very Korean groups. So when I did my audition, it was a really positive feedback from the executives and the casting directors, and they wanted me in at the age of 15. So that's when the whole trajectory of my life changed, that summer when I went to Korea. I joined a group called UKISS. We debuted in 2008. Yeah, very fortunately, we found success early on in our career. I think it was within our second or third year where our song kind of broke out and became a hit song in Korea. It was called 만만하니. Even till this day, the general public in Korea all remembers and still sings the song at karaoke's. So I'm very flattered and it's, yeah, forever grateful for that experience. Just performing not only in Korea, but we also ventured out to Japan. That was a market where we really found success. And then we branched out globally and we hit markets like Latin America, Europe, and then eventually the US. Yeah, that also was very special to me because of my upbringing in America. So yeah, I found a lot of success and my fondest memories in UKISS because of that experience and because of all of the accolades and achievements that I've achieved during my K-pop days. I was able to pursue what I am doing today, which is acting and also singing. Being in a K-pop group and being in a label, in a sense, restricted my creativity. There are cultural expectations and standards that even till this day are existing and have a big barrier between the two cultures. Trying to please a label, pleasing the audience was quite suffocating for me because there was just still much room for growth for me at that age. I was in my mid-20s. I just felt like it was like this ongoing cycle. And I had this urge to break free from that. It definitely wasn't easy for me to make my decision to leave my group, to leave Korea, which had so many great memories. Leaving that camaraderie and that kinship I had with my bandmates. There were countless amount of sleepless nights that I had to endure to make this decision. But I think the experiences that I've achieved in K-pop and in Korea brought me to a place where I felt like I wanted to expand and really grow more from there. So the only choice for me was to remove myself from that comfort zone, to really find myself in a deeper sense, in a deeper level. Although K-pop is known globally, the US, especially in the entertainment side, they don't really know the intricate details of what it's like to be in K-pop. They only know the big names and what they see in the media. So when I say I'm from K-pop, a lot of executives or professionals in the industry don't really have a clear understanding of what my background is. So I really had to prove myself, I really had to work on my craft as being a performer, and this newly found passion for acting. It wasn't as easy as I thought. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm from Korea and I'm this K-pop star. Sign me to your label. Put me in your movie. I really had to just prove it to them. When I was starting out in LA, trying to pursue my music and acting, I just realized that, I'm the minority. There still is discrimination in America, and I did not realize that at that point. I feel like I was on such a pedestal in my K-pop days, and just having that convenience of having this whole team supporting me. But to strip myself away from that and go independently and into an entire different region and market and reinvent myself, it was quite scary. It took a lot of courage in myself to believe that I can do this. I wanted to stand strong, and I didn't want to give up at that point. I just told myself to keep going, and once I follow my passion, everything will align. and I always trusted the process. And that's when I got to meet more Asian Americans within my industry, and many more Korean Americans who share the same background and experience as I did. That really helped me gain confidence. And I'm very thankful to that community who helped support me and helped shape me into who I am today. One of my happiest moments has got to be the opening night for K-pop the musical on Broadway. That was a historic night. It was a packed house, and there were faces of every ethnic background. It was just such a magical night to see so many different faces and people of all walks of life coming together to support this Korean story, this Korean cast that made its way to Broadway. No one else has before us. So to be a trailblazer, to be a pioneer in something so, historically changing, I held so much pride and honor that night. I still remember just looking at the audience, and we had a standing ovation after the finale. I just couldn't help but to just bawl. I was crying my eyes out because of how far we've come as Koreans. It felt like just planting a flag on the moon. That's how it felt. Like we've earned our spot. I'm kind of tearing up because it was a really touching experience. And just to look aside and to see all my Korean and Asian American and also Asian castmates, and to see that we've achieved something so beautiful. Yeah, that's a memory that I'll never forget. My name's Kevin Woo, and this is my Korean American story.